All right, everyone, welcome back into another live edition of the Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Game Time and Prize Picks. It is Brian Hines back as always with Alex Barth. Day 10 of Patriots training camp is behind us. It was another hot one down there at Gillette. I think the fourth straight practice now of temperatures in 90 plus degrees. Kind of looking forward to the rain tomorrow, it looks like. So maybe a little bit of a cooler day, but full pads are back on. The sun was back out. They had a day off yesterday, back on the practice fields today. Kind of ramping up the physicality a little bit with the preseason opener on Thursday, just 3 days away here, that we had their first two live tackling sessions of the summer. We had plenty of run game work, some goal line work, and not too much, I would say, from the quarterbacks, right? I think it was just like 10, 11 pass attempts for May, 13, 14 for Brissett. So a lot of focus on that run game and some tackling again as we get the preseason right around the corner here. So, but we will start with the quarterbacks. The limited work they did have. Jacoby Brissett still the top dog, as we would expect. Nothing's changed from there. And Drake Maye still working in behind them. Again, a lighter workload maybe for them, but what'd you think of those two guys today? It seemed like they were, headed in the positive direction. Then day off, how do you think they came back after the day off yesterday?
I felt it was a pretty standard day for both of them for what they've been this camp. Not a ton of deviation. Jacoby Brissett was solid. Not much to knock with him. Drake Maye, a little erratic. He did try throwing the ball down the field a bit more than we've seen, and he said the other day he wanted to do more of that. Him and KJ Osborne just missed on a deep connection. I don't know if it was kind of a little bit on both of them. The ball's a little overthrown, but it did still hit KJ Osborne on the fingertip. So maybe can he haul it in? You go back and forth on that. But I thought both quarterbacks were pretty standard. If there's any quarterback news today, it's that Joe Milton and Bailey Zappi were actually repping within the same periods again, which we hadn't seen for about a week. Some of that may be either getting them both ready to play on Monday night, but pretty uneventful day for the quarterbacks in terms of anything new to report.
Yeah, I thought it was encouraging. May pushed the ball a little bit downfield. That's something he said he wanted to start doing more, and it was such a big part of his game at North Carolina. And I think he said the other day, I forget the last time he spoke. All the days are blended together at this point. It might have been Thursday or Friday, but he said, he was wanting to take these shots, and the Patriots defense were dropping out into these cover two looks, and you don't want to take shots downfield. And today it seemed like, he was getting those one-on-one matchups instead on the outside, and that's when he was picking his shots. So hopefully as you go in the preseason, if the schemes are a little bit more vanilla, you see some of those shots from May, and he gets to show more of that arm strength and aggressiveness in actual game action. But I thought maybe his best play was a play he didn't even throw the ball. It was like a slant flat in the low red area, and they were both covered, and he was pretty decisive. He tucked it and ran. Looked like a live running touchdown to me, even if he was allowed to get hit and tackled. So and that's another big part of his game, right? With his legs and stuff he can do kind of out of structure like that. So but not too much with the quarterbacks. I thought the third quarterback, Milton Zappi, was interesting that those two guys were both repping together. Zappi had some nice throws in one-on-ones, but I think he only threw 3 or 4 in team drills.
He only threw 4 passes. Milton
4 passes it was, yeah. And then Milton had some nice throws at times in team drills. But yeah, an overall kind of quieter day from the quarterbacks there as they really focus on the ground game. So we can go right into the ground game. Not much room on the ground for the running backs. I think I wrote run stuff on my paper more than I ever have before.
I had them at 8 or Matt. We at 98.5. Matt Dolph actually tracked it. I should give him credit. 8 of 16 runs were stuffed is what he had today.
Yeah, a lot of run stuff, and I think it was like 7 of the first 11. I have to do quick math, but it was a lot of run stuff. So it was bad, and that's something that's kind of been reoccurring here ever since the first day in padded practice, where we were saying, okay, they were open up some encouraging holes in the run game. And now it's been 3, 4, 5 straight practices, most of those in pads, where there hasn't been much room on the ground here.
That is true. The one thing I will say to that is there's been getting they've been able to get a lot of these run stops because they're going with very run dominant personnel. We talked about this the other day, like Jeremiah Farms and Mike Purcell on the field with Devon Godshaw just putting all that size on. It's like, yeah, you're probably going to stop the run if you're doing things like that. But that's not a personnel you can have on the field a ton. Like, you can't have that on in potential passing situations because you're not going to have a pass rush. So I think we're at the point with the defensive front. It's a new look without Christian Barmore. They've been trying different things. We need to see how it's going to look in a game because, yes, that front certainly can stop the run. But if they're going to play them a significant amount of the time, they're not going to have a pass rush this year.
Yeah. I mean, you're not expecting, again, it's Godshaw, it's Purcell. Like, you're not expecting pass rush from those guys. Like, Aquale can be a good situational pass rusher, but if you have those three guys on the field all the time, your pass rush is gonna, take a hit there from the interior.
Right.
So it's 1,000 pounds of defensive linemen. You'd hope they can stop the run, and they've been able to do that. The run game again wasn't very encouraging today, but worry about the offensive line there. And we can say again, it was Vidarian Lowe back at left tackle. Calvin Anderson returned to practice. He took right tackle because Chuks Okorafor still isn't playing. So the interior three looks set. It's City So, it's David Andrews, it's Mike Onwenu. But we're still playing this game of roulette with the tackles, basically. And this is Vidarian Lowe's fourth straight practice at left tackle. The right tackle is just musical chairs. It's Calvin Anderson today. Caden Wallace was repping with the backups for left and right side. So that had something to do with the poor run game. I saw Vidarian Lowe whiff at least once or twice in the run game, but where are you at with the offensive line right now?
I mean, worried, I guess. I'm just the same background, as I have been.
We've been worried since January. So
right. I am, I guess, a little optimistic in that, hopefully, and maybe I'm being too optimistic here, we're going to get to see this thing on Thursday in like real game action. And that should lead to some sort of context. Like, if they come out and they struggle like we think they're going to be, then it's like, okay. And they don't have Chuks Okorafor, so you include that. But it's like, all right, Vidarian Lowe couldn't cut it. Calvin Anderson couldn't cut it. There you go. You have it on tape, game action. Let's move on to that next group. Or maybe they are good. Maybe they are good and they show us, hey, this is a group worth giving another shot next week against Philly. So I'm looking forward to getting some actual information on it.
Yeah.
But
some actual game action will be nice.
Yeah.
Going forward. But so who is your starting five preseason Thursday night? Assuming David Andrews probably won't play.
Yeah.
Michael Onwenu probably won't play. I mean, Michael Onwenu, shout out to him, has just been dominant in one-on-ones. Shocking, I know, but he, credit where credit's due. So who's your starting five there up front Thursday night?
Left to right, like guessing, just me guessing.
Yeah.
Lowe, Layden Robinson, Nick Leverett, City So, Calvin Anderson, which I guess won't be close to the group that realistically probably is the starting line. But
so you're moving City So back to the right side?
Oh, I got those backwards. That's my bad.
City So left guard, Layden Robinson right guard. Okay. Yeah, that I think that makes sense.
I don't know. That's pretty consistently been the second group, right? Like, am I missing anybody there?
Yeah, Leverett's been the center. Robinson. I mean, Robinson has played left and right guard on the second group.
I don't know. Like, would they put? Because I didn't include Caden Wallace because they've clearly made a point of putting him with the second unit. Would they put Layden Robinson with the first and Caden Wallace with the second? Maybe it's Michael Jordan.
I mean, Layden Robinson might just play the majority of the game, right?
That's true.
He might play with both of them, and he has played left and right guard at times in practice. But if City So's out there, he's going to be the left guard, you'd imagine, and Layden Robinson right. And then he like Layden Robinson will probably be a guy who will stay out there with the second unit too, so he could play next to Caden Wallace. But yeah, Nick Leverett, backup center. We can mention Jake Andrews was placed on IR today, so his season is done. So it's really Nick Leverett, Layden Robinson, your top two depth interior guys. Are you worried? We'll see with Cole Strange. Like, we know it sounds like he's going to miss some time in the regular season, but are you worried now about the depth of that interior a little bit more now that Jake Andrews is out for the rest of the season?
I mean, I'll be honest, like, I kind of kept not factoring him because it was kind of an inside out of mind thing. It certainly definitely opens up space for Cole Strange, and that it's one less guy he's going to have to compete with when he comes back. Yeah, their interior depth has been a problem. That's been a problem, and that's not changing. And I'd like to see them bring in a veteran. People forget Michael Jordan outside of Mike Onwenu. Michael Jordan's their most experienced interior offensive lineman, or I guess outside of Onwenu and Andrews, like guards, their most experienced guards. It's Michael Jordan, and he's probably not going to make the team. So I'd like to see him add another veteran to the mix there. But even before this, I was a little concerned about their depth there.
Yep. So, and then Mafi, Charles Turner, those guys are centers. Maybe the Jake Andrews absence helps one of those guys. We have seen Charles Turner finally repping a little bit more at center and Mafi at guard, but we'll keep an eye on those guys again throughout the preseason. So, anything else O-line there? I think that was most of it.
That pretty much covers it.
Yep, just still moving the tackles. Tough game, tough day in the run game, but skill position players. Anyone catch your eye out of that group today from the skill guys?
On offense, now I will say Juju Smith-Schuster probably his best practice at camp. Made a good contested catch over the middle against Sean Wade, but they didn't throw the ball a ton, so not a ton of standouts there. KJ Osborne got open again. Drake Maye sort of missed him, but I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Again, unfortunately, not much to talk about. Offensively, like
when we get to the defense, there are some guys, but offensively, not so much.
We can say Tyquan Thornton was back, limited fashion. He participated, I think, the only 11-on-11 period, which they only ran 11s today. There wasn't any 7-on-7, but he participated in the red zone 11-on-11 period, which was the second one of practice. He caught the only touchdown. It was just like a quick slant against Christian Gonzalez. And then he ended practice like running off to the side field. So still kind of limited. You mentioned KJ Osborne, Juju. I think that was pretty much it for receivers. Again, not much there. Running backs, though, Terrell Jennings is fun, and he's going to be really fun.
Yeah, he runs hard. You've heard me say this enough times, but he runs hard.
Yeah, and you see that little wiggle in him too. So he's going to be fun to watch in the preseason. Kevin Harris still too. He's probably repping ahead of him still, but he's still, even though he looks a little quicker, maybe slimmed down a little bit, he still is running hard. He had one or two nice runs today where he bounced off a guy and kept the feet moving and turning forward. So, well,
I guess if we're talking about like skill positions, does that include the fullback?
Yeah. Go for it. We saw a little fullback today.
We saw Keon White and Jeremiah Farms at fullback. Keon White, college tight end, did drop a pass, so you hate to see that. But he also blew up Jelani Tavaya in the hole. We saw them try this last year. It was actually Tavaya who played some fullback in red zone in camp, and it never made it into the season. But if you want to go jumbo on the goal line, you need somebody there, and maybe we learned Keon White's the guy.
Yep. He got lit up. That was it was tough to see what happened, but it looked like he caught it and just got lit up, and then the ball bounced in the air and intercepted. Tough to imagine Keon White getting lit up there, but we'll see how that. Again, we saw it in camp last year and then never in the regular season, so we'll see if that continues. Cleveland they didn't have a traditional fullback. They played their like backup center, I think it was, at fullback at times last year under Van Pelt there. So not a full-time role, but maybe you get one of these positional guys. I think Taylor Embry too, the running back coach, said he loves to have a fullback. So maybe that's something that etches a role, some kind of niche role out there in the offense. But yeah, I think unfortunately, like again, not much to talk about offensively, but I think that was pretty much all I had. Did you have anything else to add there?
Really uneventful day for the offense. I think that's it.
Unfortunate again, but we'll take a very quick break then. We'll hear from our friends over at Game Time, and then we will get back to defense, a little bit more to talk about than usual on that side of the ball. I got to talk to you guys about Game Time, which is the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, and it makes getting tickets faster and easier because prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying all your MLB tickets. They have flash deals to save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event, and zone deals to save if you're looking to sit in a specific section. It is baseball season and the Red Sox are hot, and while they're going on the road for the next week, they'll be back in Fenway against the Yankees, where you can see All-Star Game MVP Jarren Duran as the Red Sox continue to make their playoff push. And if you're in the Boston area, if you're around Fenway, Cask and Flagon, Bleacher Bar, getting a bite to eat, getting a drink, Game Time has last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% off on buying last-minute tickets for sports. So make sure you check the Game Time app right before first pitch to make sure you're not missing any last-minute deals. And you can even get your comedy, theater, or concert tickets on Game Time as well. So take the guesswork out of buying all your MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, to the defense. Again, physical day in total with live tackling, and they really took advantage of it. They were swarming the D-line, linebackers, tons of run stuffs. I thought Juwan Bentley was maybe the player of the day, who you gave a shout out to, I think, last week, just because we all know and love Juwan Bentley, but we don't have to get on here. Like, he's not fighting for a roster spot, so we don't have to get on here and single him out every day, but he's had a really good camp. And he continued that today, like at least 2 run stuffs. He batted down a pass to the line of scrimmage and then intercepted that pass that went to Keon White on the goal line that popped up in the air. So he was awesome. And the run defense as a whole, physical, and again, a lot of run stuffs. They were really dominant kind of up front in that front 7 today.
Yeah, they were awesome. Like you said, 8 of 16 runs stuffed during practice, and they're working with a bigger group. They're working with a run stopping group, but this team, like, realistically, this team is probably going to be playing from behind a bit. And if they can stop the run, that's going to allow them to come back in games. So it's a really, really good development.
Yep. And then even some pass rush. Keon White, O'Shane Zimenez, who we don't have to look at the media guide now, but a couple pressures for those guys as well. Keon White was even talking after practice. He was saying, he's only working on his secondary moves, doesn't want to rely on his primary pass rush in practice to, hone in on those secondary moves, and he's still getting some pressure. So Arrow keeps pointing up for him. Zimenez looks good. I don't think we can talk about Judon too in a second. Wasn't very active in 11s today. I think he was just a couple snaps. He had pads. He was participating, but maybe not like a game usage for Matthew Judon. So some more opportunities for those other edge guys. But anyone else from that group kind of stand out, and then we can touch on a little bit of what Judon had to say after practice today.
Just to go back to Bentley, I mean, making plays in the pass game too, like you said, had the interception. There was another one where he blitzed up the middle, got a gap, and Brissett tried to make the right play, like throw behind him into the blitz, but Bentley was able to get his arm up, break the pass up. I just thought he was excellent today. He's been having a solid camp, like you said, like we talked about that, but he was really good today.
Yep, he was very good. So
yeah.
We did hear from Matthew Judon, first time since the on-field incident last Monday, a week ago, where he had that kind of animated conversation with Drake Maye. Then he left, and then he didn't practice Tuesday. They were off Wednesday, and he came back on Thursday, and he's been a full participant ever since, including 3 padded practices. He kind of took us through that day. He just said he didn't want to be a distraction on the field, so he left. And then he got a message to come back to talk to Elliot Wolf and Matt Groh, which he did. And then he went back inside. He also, said he would play on the current deal again because he doesn't want to lose any more money, kind of a last resort thing. But he still feels like his market value is higher than the $6.5 million. Than his base salary currently holds right now. So we've kind of said, the routine coming out the back, not playing catch with fans. He hasn't seemed like the outgoing Matt Judon as of late. And he said, that's what he does during padded practices. He doesn't do that anyway, which I don't remember. Do you remember last year? I thought
that first Monday before he walked out, he did it. So
yeah. So I don't know, but he hasn't been the outgoing Matthew Judon, and he didn't seem like a very happy Matthew Judon answering questions today from us today.
Yeah, I wasn't there for it. I was up doing the chalk talk, but I watched it back. I still think something's happening. I know he said, "Yeah, I got to be out here. I don't want to get fined, whatever." But and what did he say when he was asked why he wasn't there Tuesday? He had a thing
He
or
had a
something
thing.
like that.
He said something going on with me.
Yeah, contract negotiations.
Yeah.
I just don't see him playing on a $6.5 million contract. I just don't see it. And whether it's a trade, whether it's more money, to pay everybody and not him,
It's weird.
it just doesn't. Yeah, it wouldn't make a ton of sense to me. I still think something else is happening there, and I think he knows. Maybe even he doesn't know exactly what, but I think even he knows something else is happening for the fact that he's been back out there.
Well, did you take his answers today? Kind of, and his whole attitude, just that maybe something isn't happening, right? Like I agree with you that something needs to
I have
happen.
maybe that it's not happening fast enough.
Not fast enough. Okay, that's fair. But um, yeah, he kept telling us we got to talk to Matt Crow and Elliot Wolf. So hopefully we get the chance to do that at some point. And then I don't know. I was reading through any other of his quotes kind of stand out to you, or
Not really. It honestly all felt very similar to what he was saying last week.
yeah.
It's just obviously there's new context now, but yeah,
He did say, like, he knows he doesn't wanna, like, reset the market, which we weren't expecting him to, but he's like, "I
right.
was injured all last year, my market isn't the highest guy," but, he doesn't think it's 6.5 million, which it's not, right? Like, he's been their best player the last 3 years. He's been a premier, pass rush specialist, so it's not 6.5 million. But, yeah, something still needs to happen and something still needs, to unfold there with Matthew Judon, so, we'll continue and wait and see there, but that's kind of the front seven again. Keon White and O'Shane Zimenez still popping in that pass rush without him. So we'll kind of see what unfolds there as this contract saga continues. But to the secondary, better day for Christian Gonzalez. What'd you say today?
Yes, he's much better today. I don't think he was targeted once on a completion. He was targeted on an incompletion. He was step for step with Javon Baker down the field. No window for Drake Maye to throw the ball. I kind of just threw it up, which is what you do to a guy like Javon Baker, but there's really nowhere to put it. He did get beat once or twice in one-on-ones. I'm not putting a ton of stock into those. I won't put stock into them. If I come in here, in a couple days and say, "Oh, he won a bunch of one-on-ones," you can call me on that. I don't put a ton of stock into one-on-ones. I'm not going to come back here and say that, but
Yeah.
much better in team drills, much closer in coverage today.
Yep. I think the only catch he gave up was the touchdown to Taekwon in the low red area, but that was like he was playing off coverage and it was just like a quick slant. Like there
Yeah,
wasn't much he could really do about that. But yeah, much more encouraging day for Christian Gonzalez. I think he even got his hands on some footballs in one-on-one, which that's something we haven't seen a lot from him. So
yeah.
better day for him. But opposite of him, a lot of Marco Wilson, a lot of Alex Austin. Alex Austin gave up one or two catches in team drills. What are you thinking about that kind of third or second boundary cornerback spot opposite of Gonzalez so far?
It feels open. Like Alex Austin has not picked up from where he left off in the spring. Certainly, I don't think he's been quite at that level. And it seems like they've responded in kind. And we saw Isaiah Bolden get some run there. Now he struggled a little bit. We saw Isaiah Bolden get some run in that spot. We saw Marcellus Dial get some run in that spot. But it's been Marco Wilson who's been there the most, and he's been solid. So I think he has the advantage there right now. But I would expect all of those guys I just named to play a good amount in this preseason game and through the preseason to decide that, because it's close.
Yep. Yeah, very close with all those guys. Austin, I think he gave up one or two to Polk today out wide.
Yep.
Um,
And Dial
yeah,
gave up the one to Juju, the touchdown to Juju.
Juju. Yep, and I think Bolden gave up a catch to Juju as well. Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
one downfield. He gave one up to Juju as well. So little Mikey Victor too, even in there. That was repping against more Zappy and Milton's group, but he broke up a nice pass on Javon Baker in the end
Yeah.
zone. So still tons of bodies. They're all young, like really competitive group. Kind of like, you say Michael Jordan is the most experienced guard outside of the top
Yeah.
guys. Like that's Marco Wilson in the cornerback room outside of
Very
Jonathan
true.
Jones. So he's someone who's got a little bit more run outside. Maybe that they like that experience and see if he can build off that. But yeah, the preseason for those guys are going to be big opposite of Gonzalez because I think Jonathan Jones, he went down to the lower fields at the end of practice today too with a trainer. So that could be something to monitor going forward. But Marcus Jones was still non-participant. We saw him for the first time since he got hurt the other day.
I think he was in uniform. He was in pads though, so there's that.
Yeah, so it looked like he might be back here soon, and he was playing really well in the slot. So, but yeah, they need one of those guys to kind of emerge here, opposite of Gonzalez, and Marco Wilson and Alex Austin were getting the most of that run. But one other guy in that room, Shaun Wade, out of his red non-contact jersey today, very good today. Broke up one or two passes and kind of had a pretty quiet but good, steady camp so far here.
Well, he's been in the red non-contact jersey, which certainly limits what he can do. He was out of it today. Yeah, he made the most of it. Had a couple pass breakups. And I wrote about this yesterday on 985thesportsup.com in my mailbag if people want to check it out. There's a role for him on this team that I think he might be the only guy to fill it, at least as the roster stands right now, because you have Jonathan Jones on one boundary, you're going to have Christian Gonzalez on one boundary. Probably Jonathan Jones on the other, just the way campus looks. So Marcus Jones is in the slot. Marcus Jones had some injury trouble. Who's the backup slot corner? Isaiah Bold has played there a little bit in the spring, but he's a boundary corner primarily. Same thing for Dial. Shaun Wade's their only experienced slot corner besides Marcus Jones. So that maybe they feel like somebody else can play there with a lack of experience. Maybe they find somebody else on the waiver wire to plug in there. But as of right now, Shaun Wade's probably on the roster. And to see him performing the way he did today and has the last few days, but especially today without the red jersey is good to see, because he may be able to get, I think he probably is one of the best 53 players, but he may be able to get on without being one of the best 53 simply because they need his skill set.
The role. Yeah.
The role he fills. I don't know, Brian, maybe I'm missing somebody. Like the only other experienced slot corner they had was Caleb Ford Demet. They cut him. He wasn't making the roster. Wade may be that guy.
I'm running through, because Dial's an outside guy. Bolden, you said, can do a little bit of both, but he's like 6'2", 205. You probably don't want him living inside. Azizi Hearn is on the bigger side. Yeah, it's probably Shaun Wade. I'm not seeing anyone else. I mean, Marco Wilson, he has got the size to probably move inside, but he hasn't, he's primarily played along the boundary.
That's what I'm saying. They have guys who probably could do it if they put him out there. I want to pull
they haven't done it yet.
But they haven't done it, and that you don't know. It's untested. So moving a boundary corner to the inside is always kind of tough. And just let me pull up Marco Wilson's snaps here from last year. Played 4 in the slot.
Yeah, exactly.
I can give you his full career. For his career, he's played 96 snaps in the slot, just under 2,000 on the boundary. He's actually played more as a box safety than as a slot corner, according to PFF.
There you go. So I know Patriots fans are probably rolling their eyes at Shaun Wade, but he was good last summer in the slot, and then he made the team as a slot corner, and then unfortunately every boundary corner got hurt, and they kind of had to move him back outside. And he was serviceable last year, I'd say, on the boundary. So having a guy who can, the versatility and proven experience and proven kind of production in the slot, probably a valuable role, especially with Marcus Jones' injury history. He's not the most reliable guy with his size and injury. So, maybe Shaun Wade carving out another year for himself on this roster. But safety room, anything? UDFA, sneaky UDFA.
Yeah, Del Pettis kind of making plays. He's all over the place. That guy plays with a high motor. So kind of like Terrell Jennings we talked about, running back. There's so many players in front of him. It's tough to see how he makes the roster. But as a practice squad guy who maybe, we come back to next year if there's injuries, he's done what you want a UDFA to do. I'll add this too. Just throughout camp, really last week, Jalen Hawkins and Hunter Henry have had some battles. I feel like they've been matched up a lot, and it's been back and forth. I think Hunter Henry won today, but Hawkins has been right there with him. And for a team that's been having trouble covering tight ends the last few years, that's good to know.
Yep. But yeah, we haven't seen Josh Bledsoe the last few practices, so opening the door for someone like Del Pettis to get
Right.
more run, and he's got like 1 or 2 plays now with the pads on that he's coming in and just blowing someone up from the back end. So kind of an interesting UDFA there to watch. Him and Terrell Jennings,
Yeah.
he kind of nailed that. They're kind of in a similar boat there, offense and defense. So yeah, Del Pettis, we'll be watching him. Maybe a good practice squad candidate throughout the preseason here. So
Yeah.
anything else on the defense there? Or
Think we
again,
got
just
everything.
good day with
Yeah.
live tackling. Didn't
We're at the
see
point at this point where I again we mentioned like Sean Wade, who kind of had a big day today, but it kind of is what it is at this point in camp. I'm ready for a game. Like we need a
we're
game
ready
already.
for another opponent. We're ready
Yeah.
to see some live action, even the joint practice next week. It'll be better that way. But we can transition to special teams. But before we do that, I got to talk to you guys about Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members, and it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers as you just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. With Prize Picks, you could turn $10 into 1,000 while watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer, and you can make a Prize Picks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and any other sport in as little as 60 seconds. And if you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week, from lowering select player stats projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. So download PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's CLNS on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy over on Prize Picks. We did that better than Mike did it live. He had a helicopter take off behind him. I don't know if you saw that. But oh, we got one other thing in the defense we can talk about in the chat. Someone said talk about Marte Mapu. Still haven't seen him since the first practice of summer. So
He
kind of
wasn't even out there doing his mental reps today.
I think that's 2 straight days we haven't seen him doing mental reps. So kind of disappointing from Mapu. You know, there's potentially a role or two out there that he could seize, and him just not being out there. It's tough to predict kind of his week 1 role right here. You'd assume he'll be active on special teams, but on defense, it's tough to see where he's going to fit in.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right. You can't make the club from the tub, and Jalen Hawkins is playing well, and you wonder what his role is going to be.
Yep. So we can wrap up with special teams. No field goals today. We saw one live punt session. Bryce Behringer was kicking the crap out
He
of
was
that
on
football.
it today. Yeah, he was rocking that thing.
I was watching him being like, those things, he is booming those things. Those are some Behringer bombs. And then I was glad that, you know, I looked at your Hain times, which you can share in a second here, and they matched up. Like the
Multiple
times on the
5+
Hain times matched up with the eyes. A couple 5+ in there, I think. And it looked like even Polk had trouble fielding one of them. So he was awesome today. But anything else to add with Bryce, or again, not much.
We saw a little more kickoff work. Again, it feels like a feeling out process. I think that's something that's going to, they need to see it live against an opponent to really be able to develop it. But no field goals today. I think that's a big notable thing. So Joey Sly had the big day on Saturday, and he gets to ride that high another day. They did add Tucker Addington, which I wonder, are we going to see like dueling field goals? So they're both going at once. Just to get more kicks in, might tell us that the competition's a little closer than we think it is, but we'll have to wait and see about that. They also may just, Joe Cardona doesn't need to play in the preseason, and maybe that's why Tucker Addington.
He was also like running sprints off to the side, so I don't know if he
maybe his foot's acting up again,
something, or he had the foot injury. Did he get hurt like Tucker Addington just emerged from the shed like halfway through practice? Is he just camping out nearby or something?
No, this is a real thing. Like, the contract has to be signed before he can get out there, and I wonder if it was something where they literally did, the ink was put on the paper in the middle of practice.
Maybe. So second lawn snapper in there. That was the corresponding move to Jake Andrews landing on IR. So still a full roster, but Tucker Addington in, Jake Andrews on IR. So we'll see if anything unfolds there with 2 lawn snappers, how that kind of shakes out in practice, assuming Joe Cardona is also not going to play in the preseason. But
Right.
One roster move today. So that was most of practice. Again, lots of run heavy stuff, so not too much to talk about from the skill guys or the quarterbacks, unfortunately. But one more practice before tomorrow, and then a walkthrough Wednesday and the preseason game on Thursday.
You know what's weird?
What's weird?
This is usually the show, because we'll be doing the full crossover tomorrow. This is usually the show where we'd predict all the rookie numbers.
I know.
keep thinking like
I don't have that fun game anymore.
I'm
year.
so used to having being ready to write that thing up before the first preseason game, and it's just event on the calendar gone. It feels weird. It's gonna take some getting used to.
I know. Such a shame. That's usually we have our Madden ratings, and then we have our rookie jersey numbers, and that gets us some extra content there. But what are you expecting tomorrow? We'll end here. Any expectations tomorrow? Do you think they're going to be in pads again? They have a walkthrough Wednesday, final tune-up for that preseason game. Again, they're not game planning or anything,
right.
But
I think they're going to be in pads. I think we're going to see more of an emphasis on the passing game, just because they run every day. Although then again, it's supposed to pour. Yep. So maybe it's just ground and pound all day.
Yep. So we'll see. Hopefully they air it out a little bit more, but so we have some more stuff to talk about. But we will see. And we'll also see about our show tomorrow, because if it is raining, it could be tough to do the crossover down at Gillette live. So we might just be remote at home, but we are going to do a crossover with Taylor and Mike, because it's another block of practice, and probably look ahead to the preseason a little bit there. So
let's do this real quick, actually, before we wrap up, Brian, because it is the news of the day. So as of right now, Brandon Aiyuk has been traded. Because we're going to get podcasters cursed on this, I know, as soon as we wrap the episode up, something's going to happen.
So you're
Brandon
saying
Aiyuk,
he's been traded? Well,
Brandon Aiyuk hasn't been traded.
The Niners tweeted, "We've announced the following roster move," and it was like a depth offensive lineman.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I still don't think they're trading him. Not right now. Talk to me at the deadline, talk to me next year. Maybe they tag and trade him. I still don't think they're trading him. I'll believe it when I see it. If they do trade him, I do buy the Steelers noise. That actually makes sense. I still think Washington is a factor, his relationship with Jane Daniels, and I am okay with that. It would be great if the Patriots could add Brandon Aiyuk. I wouldn't overextend to get him. I think the second rounder and Judon is the deal I kind of look at as being if you want to throw in another day 3 pick, fine, whatever. I'm not touching the first round pick. Even if it's a pick swap, I'm not doing that. But this kind of closes the book on this cycle of star receivers being available, from Higgins to who else did we have in this one? Obviously Aiyuk.
I mean, Calvin Ridley.
Yep. Amari Cooper was sort of in there. And I'm okay with the Patriots not striking in this cycle, because they are early in the process of building this thing back up. The next cycle is when they should hit DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, CeeDee Lamb. That's the group they should be in on. Those guys, we're going to start to really talk about those guys maybe lightly at the deadline. I think realistically at the end of the season, that is the group that they should make the move. So if Aiyuk is traded, I'm okay with that. Now, if he gets traded for a third and they missed out on that, I'm going to be pissed. I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but assuming he goes for who we think he's going to go for, I'm okay that they didn't make this move. If that move gets made before our next show, but now I'm locked in on that next cycle. You guys know how much I've talked about DK Metcalf, also CeeDee Lamb, because I'm really starting to get weird there in Dallas, right? He never got his new contract. I'm not missing something, right?
Did he get paid?
If he did, I just made myself look like an asshole. I swore. Look at that. No, he's in the last year of his deal this year. Okay. But it would be probably a tag and trade, or if he hits free agency or whatever. There's Higgins going to be a free agent. I know I said we're done with Higgins. He'll be in the next cycle now. The next cycle is when they make their move, or when they should make their move.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I still don't think the Niners should trade Brandon Aiyuk.
Yeah.
We were talking about it this morning, just trade Deebo Samuel and pay Brandon Aiyuk. That would be.
I don't know that anybody will take Deebo Samuel. That's the problem.
Yeah, but
yeah.
There's a lot of smoke around it right now, so we're probably going to log off so everyone can get the Brandon Aiyuk trade. That's how it tends to happen. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. The young guys have been encouraging. through camp, 10 practices camp, like play them and hit the next cycle. Aiyuk was kind of the guy where I was like, okay, like I would overextend maybe now and, move that timeline up a year to go get him just because he is so talented and he could help you right now. But if it's Judon in a second, I would probably do that, but we'll probably sounds like Pittsburgh is going to kind of prevail here. So the next cycle, that's when you got to hit. And I know you love DK Metcalf. That would be a really good fit. So that next cycle is when the Patriots have to strike here. So we'll see on Aiyuk. We'll keep tabs open. We'll probably log off again and everyone will get the news. So we'll do that. But Patriots CLNS on Twitter. You can follow them and we will try to let you know what our plan is for a show tomorrow. Again, it's going to be a crossover, but whether we can do it live at Gillette or if it's raining too hard, we'll probably have to come home and do it remote. But in the meantime, you can also follow Alex on Twitter at RealAlexBarth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com for his Patriots training camp coverage. And you can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines and head over to patspulpit.com for our training camp coverage over there as well. Thank you everyone for tuning in with us tonight, and we will see you guys tomorrow after day 11 of Patriots training camp.
Bye.